Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Missing Lynx post-game podcast. I still don't know exactly what we're titling this other than the Missing Lynx, but it is a podcast and a live stream. And today we're just live on YouTube for the crazies that are interested in hearing Lynx Liberty on a Thursday afternoon. And today I have Lucas Kaplan from, are you still with Swish Theory, or are you just NetsDaily now?
I'm with Swish Theory. I do a little bit less with Swish Theory now, mostly NetsDaily, because also freelancing for Basketball Insiders. So a bunch of sites.
Lucas Kaplan, basketball extraordinaire, which for people that haven't seen his work, I often compare him to, there's a Wolves writer that lives in Chicago named Jonah Mays, who his whole thing is chopping up film, evaluating, and then writing like really in-depth, like thoughtful pieces. And that's kind of like Lucas is for Brooklyn and for the Liberties. So Lucas, nice to have you on, man.
Oh, wow. I appreciate all the kind words. I'm happy to be on and talk about two very awesome teams that I love watching. If they played 10 times a year, I would watch all of them.
Don't let Kathy find that out, because then maybe we'll have like 130 game schedule where the Lynx and Liberty play 10 times.
How about the Fever and Sky playing 5 times, and neither Caitlin nor Angel are both available in any of them?
Isn't that wild? And they still bring in ratings. I don't understand it. Like, granted, the WNBA as a whole is being watched more, but like the Sky aren't particularly good, and the Liberty, without Caitlin, like they're still a fine team, but like I feel like most of their fan base is Caitlin Clark adjacent.
Yeah. So they really tried to sell that rivalry this year, and didn't happen. But hey, I'm glad people are watching
more eyes on women's basketball. That's the important side.
Definitely.
So Lucas, I'll kind of let you set the stage from the Liberty standpoint, but from the Lynx standpoint, this game on Saturday, you know, Cheryl and the players on the Lynx have been really hesitant to say this is like a rivalry. They've kind of said it's the beginning of a rivalry, but if we meet them 2 more times in the playoffs, we can talk. And their main mission in these games is just to clinch the 1 seed, win without fee, try and figure out how to get like Bridget Carlton and some of the more tertiary players, just get them going in time for the playoffs, get them a little bit more rhythm. And they seem like they're just treating it kind of like just another game on the schedule. It's interesting because we were talking right before we got on the danger of having, 4 Lynx Liberty games in a 3-week span is if injuries happen, that's just life. Injuries happen. But, the other side of it is the Lynx, they've been asked about their revenge tour all season to the point where they're nauseated answering that question. And now they're being asked about the Liberty, something that happened 10 months ago. It's just a really weird setup they have. But what are the Liberty's kind of storylines coming into the game on Saturday?
I think the storylines are that they just need a win, and they're going through the sort of season where rivalries and the grander picture around the teams and the teams that they play almost take a back seat because they're struggling right now. They dropped to 3rd last night because they lost and the Dream won. And I'll give you a great example. Like when the Aces came to town, or last night, we're recording Wednesday night, they lost to the Aces. Liberty Aces should have this big kind of grandeur around it. And it just doesn't, because the Aces are struggling and just, God, we need a win. Liberty are in the same boat. They have all these injuries. They haven't had Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones play more than a game straight together since the end of May. And they're just trying to get through the season. Everyone's kind of visibly exhausted. And they're just trying to make it to the finish line and claw and scratch, which is the total opposite of kind of their last 2 regular seasons, where it was, they dealt with things, but it was like, oh my God, they are just steamrolling teams. This is an awesome team. Like, their season will totally be determined in the playoffs. That's not the case right now. Like, they have to win games right now, and the Lynx are really good. and they're playing better than them, even without Fee. So it's almost less about like, I'm sure during the game, emotions will come up and the memories of the finals will resurface, and it'll be like, all right, we really want to beat this team. But heading into the game, it's like, God damn, we just need a win.
And the Lynx are the complete opposite side of that right now, where they have 6.5 games lead over the one spot. They're the number one offense, number one defense, number one net rating, number one assist, pretty much every analytic down the board. They're in first place or very close to it. And they are they are doing what the Liberty did last year. They are blowing teams out. Even without Fee, they look just dominant. I think the interesting thing with the Liberty, watching them the first two games they played the Lynx, was just how little answers they seem to have for. In the first game, it was Fee. I mean, they seemed like they tried everything. And then in the second game, they just could not tighten up like ball rotations on defense. They were just giving wide open shots in the second half. Like, do you think the Liberty have, like, obviously they're not at full strength, but do they have like an answer to the Lynx offensive side?
Not right now. And we saw it in spurts during last season in the finals. Like, the Lynx went 3-1 against Liberty in the regular season last year. And a lot of that was because they just couldn't guard them. And that's not even including the Commissioner's Cup. I think they went 4-1 or maybe 3-2, including the Cup. But the Liberty switch a lot. And I've written about this. One of my favorite things about their defense is they have the freedom to adjust coverages on the fly. They'll turn standard pick and roll coverage into a switch at the last minute. And, they hope to confuse teams. And Minnesota is just so well coached and in sync that the slightest bit of miscommunication or a lack of communication turns into an advantage that then gets, swing, open three, or swing, cut, open layup. And you see that when they slip just a little against Minnesota, it's an avalanche of open shots. And I don't trust them to go and play kind of a mistake-free game, or, more realistically, a game with very limited mistakes. They're just not going to do it right now. I think they're too tired. I think they rely on Brianna Stewart to clean up, to just plug a lot of leaks on defense, run around, especially on the back line. And they don't have it right now, and it makes them vulnerable. And then, that's not even mentioning the turnovers that they're throwing right now, which gets Minnesota out in transition.
And Grace just mentions here in the chat, if there is an answer, capital IF, it must involve Stewie. She's too important. What do you feel like Stewie is when she gets back in and kind of settled back? I mean, it's going to be tough because she's going to get back probably at the end of the season, and then it's just go time. But do you feel like once she gets back settled in with the defense, that will have like I'm not going to say like a dramatic effect, but like at least to where they can slow it down?
I think that'll have a significant effect. The question around this team right now is like, do we really trust them to flip the switch? And it's not for a lack of trying. Like, there are a lot of things out of their control going against them right now. It's not like they're lazy or not putting forth effort, or they don't know what they have to do, or they're not well coached. It's like compressed schedule. They're down to like 8-man rotation, 7-man rotation, because Sandy doesn't trust the end of the bench. So Stewie said her non-negotiable return date is August 27th because it's her birthday. That would give her like 2 weeks, I think, 6-7 games, maybe 5-6 games to get back. And it'll have a significant effect, but really more than Stewie, although you can't discount her impact, as Grace said, is they just have to tighten up. And it sounds like kind of a cliche and not that interesting, but I think Stewie will help them tighten up, but she can't save all of the problems that are kind of going on right now. And not to suggest that there are so many problems and they can't win a game. Like, if they beat Minnesota on Saturday, I wouldn't be shocked. They're still good, but certainly they're not where they were when these teams played in the finals last year.
Yeah, the Lynx, I've talked to Cheryl about it a couple times, of just like, their offense is just so like perfect, if that makes sense. Like it starts with a Court and Fee pick and roll or a Court and Land pick and roll. Both of them are, I mean, their timing on rolls, their ability to slip through contact is like next level exceptional. And if you drop with the big, then Courtney's the best mid-range shooter in the WNBA right now, and you don't want to give up that shot. But then Fee and Lan are, I mean, you kind of touched on it in your most recent piece that they're just kind of automatic at the basket. And if you somehow, like if you bring help from the wing or bring help from the corners, they're so good at passing that they're going to pass it to the wing, wait for somebody to drive over from the corner, hit the corner. If somebody comes up from the paint, they're going to hit a cutter. And it's just this like offense that's based on so much movement that, I mean, to play mistake free against them for possession after possession after possession is just exhausting, which that's where when I'm looking at the Liberty, and I don't cover them nearly as close as you do, obviously, it's just really hard for me to see like how they can solve that without just the level of play going up notch or two.
I mean, they might not survive the second round if they don't take it up at least a notch. Phoenix and Atlanta are good.
Yeah. I mean, the other side of it is, I mean, the Liberty's offense, I think the Dejanay Carrington trade by the Lynx was a pretty savvy move of, hey, we need to get someone to guard Sabrina other than K-Mac the entire game. Yeah. And I think in my head, they almost hedged of, if we can contain the guards, it doesn't matter what Jones is going to do inside because they're not going to get that guard play. But the Lynx don't really have a great answer for the Liberty either, which I'd love to hear your thoughts on like what the Liberty can do offensively.
Yeah, I think the kind of, I guess, skeleton key to their season right now is like, will the lineup with all three bigs work? With Emma, Stewie, JJ, and then probably Sabrina and Leonie. Like, if that works, and Emma's in space and can cover well enough, and Stewie's making enough outside jumpers, that is so devastating for other teams to try and cover. And that'll be something Minnesota, I would imagine, has a tough time responding to. But just in general, like Jonquel Jones has always been the answer to this. Mm-hmm. If she's engaged and making quick reads out of the post and like passing out of rolls when they bring late help, teams just really can't guard her. I mean, she's so good, and Lan isn't quite the body necessarily to do it for 35, 36 minutes a night. Obviously she's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm totally with that. So it's not slander.
Everyone that's listening to this is going to do a little fist bump right now. Cause
the last Liberty game, she was,
it's ridiculous how effective she is as an undersized center. She's Draymond.
Yeah, she had 4 steals, I think, and 3 blocks, and like played 38 minutes, just carrying an insane load. So it's not that, but yeah, like that's a tough one-on-one matchup for anybody because JJ's incredible, but especially her. And then when you have to bring extra help, the ball swings, all 5 players can shoot. And when they play fast and they get JJ rolling downhill, or if they force a switch and JJ's posting up, like when they strike the right balance of trying to enter it inside to, create an advantage on the perimeter, and where Jonquel can also shoot, and then Stewie can cut, and Lan isn't in the paint because she's busy guarding a 40% 3-point shooter and JJ on the perimeter. Like when they strike that balance, nobody can really guard it super well. The Lynx included, that's not a slight to them. But yeah, I'm really interested in the 3 bigs lineup as a specific sort of button they may be able to push.
Yeah, it's interesting how they kind of went opposite ways. Like the Lynx get Carrington and they kind of double down on the small lineup, where with Fiat, we've been seeing like Bridget Carlton playing power forward and like lineups where it's Court T and Dejanay with like K-Mac. We saw, I think for a couple minutes at least. I mean, the Lynx have gone full small ball, whereas the Liberty, I mean, granted they have shooting, like Jones can hit threes, Stewie can hit threes, but they have almost gone the opposite way where they're just like, we are going to get so many big bodies in here that it'll overwhelm you.
When they play Sabrina and Leo in the backcourt, they are huge. I mean, they're, you saw it last year in the finals and stuff, but yeah, they are just massive. And Sandy likes to play like 2-3 guard lineups during the regular season, but will be really interested to see what team like kind of counters first, like what team adjusts to the other. Like if the Liberty roll 3 bigs out, right? How is Minnesota countering? Do they just play their regular 5? Does Shepard come in for somebody? Do they go small and say, no, we're going to space you out, and we don't think Emma Mieseman and JJ will be able to like make all these rotations? It'll be and I hope we get this playoff series, and I think we will.
So do I.
Yeah, it feels right. It'll just be a really interesting test of like who's going to blink first.
I think the Lynx have really used, I mean, despite like having a really good like record, a top record in the league, they've used a lot of this season to just experiment.
Right.
Kind of earlier on in the season, they had Fee playing small forward next to Lan and Jess, and then having like BC and Court out there, and it was probably the biggest lineup they can get to. I think they also just have a lot of faith in Masha Kluindikova's minutes. If they like are just hemorrhaging rebounds and points at the rim, I think they'd feel fine playing her for like 5 or 10 minutes in a game.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and that was the way the Liberty felt with Niara last year.
Yeah. Which you're right. Like somebody is going to have to make an adjustment because, if you're down 2 games to nothing, obviously it's not working. And the Lynx have been using the whole year just to kind of put things in their back pocket of like what they can do in case of emergency, which has been a luxury for them that it sounds like the Liberty haven't really had because of all of the injuries.
It's funny, like like if everything goes right, they will. Like Izzy Harrison being way better than expected is huge. I thought Rebecca Gardner was playing as well as you could expect in the beginning of the season. She doesn't play a lot anymore. Sandy's gone to Steph Talbot over her. I don't really love that one, but theoretically, like they will. And then now Emma will come off the bench and they can go that way. They can go 3 bigs, or they can play Natasha Cloud. You bring Marine in. Like they should have optionality, but we haven't really seen it all at once. We haven't seen a game where it's like, okay, there are a bunch of options. What are you going to do? Because half of them are inevitably hurt. I didn't even mention Kennedy Burke right there. But yeah, a lot of this too, like, man, you're asking like Stewie having to guard Kayla McBride is the only way that big lineup works. And you're like, that's tough. You're taking away what makes her great in roaming and help, but also like that's a lot of stress to put on her body right now. Just chasing K-Mac around the perimeter. I love K-Mac, by the way. If you go back and watch the Barclays Center game a couple weeks ago, the one they won, man, she's guarding Sabrina, and like she just punishes the player who most like punishes them for any slight, misstep or whatever is Kayla. And she just, you don't always see it because sometimes it results in like 2 players go to her and then someone cuts and then it's a layup and she doesn't touch the ball. But when you rewatch these games, her impact is so massive. You could really make an argument for like 3 Lynx being their second best player, which is what I like about them. As a compliment.
I think with Kayla, my favorite thing about her, I mean, one, she's like a really good human being. Like she's just genuinely a good person. But like on the court, earlier this year, the Lynx, they retired Simone Augustus's Hall of Fame patch they put on her retirement jersey. And I was talking to Moan about it quite a bit of just like K-Mac is kind of just Simone. Like Simone could have scored 25, 26, 27 points a game for probably most of those Lynx dynasty teams, but she just didn't. She knew that her bigger purpose was doing the little things to help win championships. And K-Mac, if she played for like Washington, I guarantee she could score 24 a game. Like she is such a gifted 3-point shooter. She's, I think, 3rd all time in free throw percentage. Like She has this weird floater game now where she just like hucks it at the basket and it goes in. Like her
and they ask her to guard Sabrina on the other end.
Exactly.
Like she must be I mean, you could tell in such ridiculous shape cardio wise to do all this.
Oh, she is. And most plays, she doesn't even touch the ball. Like she runs through like a backdoor screen and then she does like a little pin down thing, cuts to the rim, comes back out to the wing almost every possession and she doesn't get the ball. And it's just, that's the thing with Kayla. It's so fun to like cover her as media because you just see all the things she does and then she's like perfect off the court.
Right. I mean, and last year, like when the shooting start she got off to, like she was really one of the 5 or 10 most impactful players of the league for most of the season. And then, I think she went through a little slump before the playoffs, but like it just doesn't even matter. I'm just talking about how important she is to that offense and that culture and that team. You can't overstate it. And I mean, you would know better than me, but it's very apparent to an outsider just watching them. And the biggest change, and I wrote about this is which is interesting, like it's not exact, like you don't guard your primary matchup on every single possession for a whole series, but generally with Natasha Cloud now in for Benai Jelani Hamilton, right? That's the big change on both these sides.
Yep.
Maybe Emma, we'll see. Leonie Fibic is now guarding K-Mac. Like that's just where she falls. And, she did it for spurts in the finals, but like, that's just a different look than with her on Courtney. And it's harder for everyone involved because I think Leo is like maybe one of the very best guard defenders in the NBA, WNBA. Like she's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But having to chase K-Mac, and she's talked about how exhausted she's been this season, off season, or WNBA finals, then playing in Spain, then back, then Eurobasket, now back again. She is exhausted, and that is an exhausting thing to do. And you lose her length on court. And the other thing the Liberty lose is the ability to switch Courtney Fee pick and rolls. That's the best answer to Minnesota's offense if you can do it. And if you have Leo on court and Stewie on Fee, you can reasonably do it. And, you don't want Fee just attacking Leo like the whole night, but you can, she's 6'4". You can bring a little bit less help. Stewie can kind of guard anybody when she's locked in. She can hang with court. And now with Tosh, they don't really have that option because Natasha Cloud's just too small. And that is the thing I don't know if they can fully solve. Like, what can you really do about that? Because even if you go 3 bigs and Stewie and Emma and JJ are playing together, Stewie's not guarding Fee. She has to guard K-Mac.
Yeah.
Right. And then.
Yeah, she would have to because you'd need to keep Sabrina on, I mean,
Carlton
and or Dejanay, I guess. I mean.
Right. If they go small.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think Minnesota would go big. Right. Because if they go big, if they play Jess next to Fee and Lan, then you can just put Stewie back on Fee.
Yeah.
And Leo on court. And then that switching becomes an option again because, Emma can guard Jess and JJ can guard Lan or vice versa or whatever. But yeah, I think they've lost. I mean, these things are always more fluid than you think. It's like,
exactly.
But in general, I think that option for them, which really was key to stopping them when they did stop them is I don't know if gone, but decreased as an option for the Liberty.
It seems like, and that's just what's so like a lot is talked about the Lynx defense this season. I feel like nationally, that's kind of the big thing is like, yeah, the Lynx are the number 1 defense. They're 3 points better in defensive rating. Like that is their identity. If you ask anyone on the team, they say we win off of defense, but their offense is just so difficult because if you do go small against them, then like, I mean, K-Mac's not afraid to bully people to the rim. Lan stretches everything out. They play this 5-wide system. It's just, I don't know. Their offense has been just so fun to watch this year because it's there's not really a point. Even when they put Jess in and they kind of lose that shooting ability, they almost run out of the paint with her like a Sabonis where they're just kicking it into her, letting her do post moves and then whip it out to somebody else. And like, it's just, I don't know. Their offense is just so fun to watch. Like, that's all I can keep going back to.
Yeah, I mean, this to your point, I just looked it up. Like their offensive rating without Shepard is nearly 112. Their offensive rating with her is nearly 111. Like there's not really a drop off, and that she's probably playing with bench units, or she's coming in with multiple subs.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to not even have that drop off. It's funny because every other team and time the Liberty have struggled, it's always been their offense. And I always make this argument when people talk about the Aces series and in the past, when the Liberty would struggle, it would be because like teams would switch against them and they wouldn't know really how to fully enter the ball into the post. Like the score game 4 when they lost in Barclays in 2023 was 70 to 69. And I think a lot of the discourse after that series, and some of it was fair, Sloot and Sabrina like too small in the backcourt, like couldn't really guard the Aces guards. I'm like, they only broke 82 points once. Like this team was built to dominate on offense, and I don't really want to hear that much about their defense when they're not scoring. And that has been when they've lost in the past. That's kind of been the thing. It's like, the ball stopped moving, turnovers, whatever. Except for the Lynx. The Lynx are the one team in this era that have given them trouble in this way, where it's like, I trust them to score and kind of get enough good shots. When the Lynx are locked in, they can shut Sabrina down, and she's had some bad games against them. But I worry more about them stopping the Lynx offense. And I'm not sure most teams would say that, but I think it's true for the Liberty. And they're just so well coached. Like Cheryl's not even going to win Coach of the Year because everyone's just kind of used to it. But you watch. You
are 100% right on that. Like she probably is not. Well, she also won it last year, which I feel like repeat Coach of the Year is tough. But
for like the same, like kind of the same case.
Yeah, Cheryl's just also. What's so interesting talking to people that were on the beat during like the original Lynx dynasty is like Cheryl during that dynasty brought the same like level of like focus, attention to detail, all of that. But like that team needed her to be like a lot more like stern, like, getting technicals, freaking out on refs. Like they just needed a different kind of energy and persona from her. This team, she's almost playing the role of like stand-up comedian that's also incredibly good at coaching. Like
nothing like a Cheryl press conference. And Liberty fans are obviously not the biggest fans of her, and she gets booed, and it's fine. It's great. It's sports. Like she said what she said. Like it's awesome. She's like a WWE heel. But
exactly.
God, when she comes to Barclays and I get to like sit in her pregame presser, I can't wait. It's like this is going to be hilarious for 15 minutes, and someone's going to ask her a bad question, and you just know, you just know, someone like there was yet another scheduling question. Like essentially, this schedule sucks, and it does. But I'm sure she's heard it a million times, and she just was like not having it. She was like full answer. She's like, I don't want to talk about the schedule.
That's really like her when national people are there too. Because like she treats us local media like really well. Like I asked her if she's gonna dye her hair pink yesterday. Like
I saw that.
She's awesome with us. She's gonna go pink. So that's gonna be wild.
And then people swoop in, right? The national, and they're like not as familiar, and they're unknowingly asking her the same questions that she's heard.
And
all
Cheryl
year.
just has no time for it. There's a Bev in the chat who domesticated Cheryl. Man, I don't know. She is from being like a Lynx fan during that first dynasty in high school and college now to covering the team. Like she is nothing like how I would have expected her to be. But I think part of it is like she kind of has to be a lot looser with this group. When you have Courtney Williams, like, forgetting plays coming out of the huddle, you can't be this maniacal person. And I think she's really leaned into just being more of that, like almost like the levity in the room versus like now that being said, I mean, Cheryl still, she holds them to a ridiculous standard. Like,
and she's a competitive psycho, and you can tell.
Yes. I mean,
I think my guess from looking on the outside, I don't know how much you'd agree with this, is like Fee becoming this level of player. I mean, we knew she was good, but like, I don't know if everybody knew she was going to be in best in the world talks.
Yeah.
And the energy that she brings, and just, I see she's vocal on the court and loud, but it's almost like her game is this magnetic presence for people to latch onto. And I think a lot of the reason why Cheryl can have this role and this disposition is because of the way that Fee galvanizes everybody. And you hear Court say it, and even K-Max, who's a little older, they all want to win for themselves, and they want to win because they're professional athletes, but like, they want to galvanize behind Fee and support teams. And, they want her to win MVP, and they want her for her insane work ethic to pay off in this way. And so with Fee being like the emotional leader of this team, it just seems like it is a natural force that kind of snaps everybody into place. And therefore Cheryl can be this way. I don't know if I'm reading that situation right.
I think there's something to that. I think it's weird being on the inside, because like Fee, like it's so different. Like, I cover the Wolves and the Lynx, right? And like in the Wolves, you have Anthony Edwards, who is brash and will tell you how terrible you are on the court, and will like just go at you with this like just this insane drive to just kind of destroy you. Whereas Fee is just so elegant and graceful in everything she does, whether it's a press conference, whether it's a post up, everything is just perfect. Like, when she's doing a post up, her footwork is perfect. Where the ball is perfect. Her fadeaway is perfect. Her scoop shots, her hook shots, her left hand, her right hand. When she's playing defense, her rotations are perfect. Like, everything is just flawless. And then you talk to her and she's the same way, where it's like, there is no ego in her. Like, I remember like a couple weeks ago, it was against the first Liberty game, because we came out of the Atlanta loss, and Cheryl's whole thing in the Atlanta loss was like, Fee needs to ask for the ball. Like, this is
right. Yeah, I remember
that 7 possessions went by and Fee didn't touch the ball. Like, what are we doing? And Fee, the next game, we asked her, like, were you more involved in the offense? Were you kind of commanding more like space?
Mm-hmm.
And Fee was just like, I don't really think so. I just, was doing my thing, and like, I kind of black out at some points. And K-Mac just goes like, we try to get Fee the ball literally every opportunity. Like, no, this is not just ho-hum Fee.
Right.
We are actively trying to get her the ball every possession, because she's unstoppable.
When she gets in, sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that, I think that bleeds into everyone else on the team, where when the best player in the world has no agenda or ego, it's really hard to be, like Napheesa Heidemann on the bench and be concerned about playing time, or Jess being concerned about not starting. I think Cheryl more sees it of like, what this group needs is someone to make them take it a little less seriously, because like, I don't know, they want it. Like, the level of want in this team is kind of insane.
Yeah, they're a bunch of psychos, and like, it's great. And you could even see it last year, the injuries they had to fight through. And like, I love Lan, because she always looks like one hit away from tears on the court, and yet she wants to play 38 minutes and like fight through all these injuries. And, you can see it in Carlton the same way when she gets fired up. And obviously everyone else emotes in their own ways. And yeah, I don't know. Cheryl being from like an East Coaster, from like Jersey, from South Jersey, I'm just like, yeah, I can see that. Makes a lot of sense. I love, and I love media. It's like, ask a better question if you want a better answer. Although it's funny, they signed Jalen Sherrod, and we asked, we asked 3 questions about it. Someone asked, another person asked, third person asked, and then that was the answer. She like went on and gave this great answer about what it's like to be a young player on a good team, and why they like Jalen. And it was like 3 paragraphs, but the first 2 answers were like a sentence or 2. They were like, it's like, what's Jalen bring? And she's like, I don't know. You guys watched her more than I would, so we'll see. And then, she said, I don't know, hopefully some corporate knowledge, like making the joke that everyone wants to hear, like very slyly. And then the third one, it's like, I love their vibe. And it's funny because I feel like it is a budding rivalry, and the finals last year took such an emotional toll on the players and the fans. But man, they're just such a great watch, and like Fee is definitely to me underrated in terms of like most fun players to watch. Like just so clinical in the way she moves. Like the way I have described it, and I don't know if it's really clear, is like just one of the most efficient movers in basketball. Like no wasted motion off the ball, on the ball, the angles she takes to post up. Like it's all so just sharp and efficient, and the footwork. And you don't have to be like a basketball savant to appreciate it, but like if you know just a little, you see like how impressive it is, and the 10,000 hours like really bleed through in the way she plays. And they're a great contrast to the Liberty team in this way, who are like stacked with these just, one of one, future Hall of Fame talents. And it's really Fee, who in some ways is like the most clinical, maybe not, like freakish superstar in the league. And then I'd agree with that. A bunch of just star level role players, or like players that, do one or two things really well to the best of their ability and fit well in the system. And then like, the Liberty are this collection of like, John Quell's insane. Stewie's crazy. Sabrina's crazy. It's a great matchup in that way. Emma too now.
Yeah. I mean, even Tosh Cloud, I mean, she's borderline all-star every year. I mean, it's interesting that this is likely going to end the same way like last season did, where it's these two teams just hammering it out for 7 games instead of 5 this year. Like, I think the other thing that I've appreciated a lot about Fee is just her processing speed of like, catch the ball, how are they defending me, what do I do in this situation, and then like go is, I think you said it right. Like she's the most not freakishly superstar. Like Asia Wilson is ridiculously athletic and tall. Jones is just huge. Stewie is so long and like a good shooter. Sabrina's like what, 6'3" point guard? Like how tall is Sabrina nowadays?
I think a little. I think a little shorter than that. But yeah, like big guard and just insane hand-eye. Like she's not the fastest, and like I think the reason she can struggle against the Lynx is like she doesn't really separate like one-on-one. She's not like dusting people all the time.
Yeah.
So she can fall into like 4 of 16 because she's not creating space. But yeah, just like the hand-eye, the full court passing and the shooting, you're like, this is alien. And she's also a just true competitive psycho that gets better every year.
And then you have Fee, who is not necessarily like the tallest. Like she's not a freakishly tall person. She's not like freakishly like long.
Mm-hmm.
She came into the league and like had a mid-range game and played good defense and had like the Connecticut pedigree, but it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be the most gifted offensive scorer or the most like impactful defender. And it's been literally just out of like sheer work ethic and like grit that she's gotten to where she is. And then she still just acts like she's a role player. Like she does not. It's just so weird covering the 2 Minnesota teams because Ant has this like aura around him of like, oh, this dude's going to try and rip somebody's soul out. And Fee has like the same aura where like she walks into a room and everyone kind of like stops and like looks, but it's not the same. It's like a Tim Duncan type of aura where it's just like,
I see that. Yeah.
Oh, she is the best in the world at something, but then she'll like say hi to everybody in the room.
Yeah, I see that. And it's funny, like that's why her matchups with Stewie are so great, because Stewie on the court is like more of just, she's just a freak. Like 7'2" wingspan, insane motor, like will die on the court probably. And off the court, just like kind of a nerdy, like kind of goofball, like same way. And yeah, when they go at it, it's like, or her and JJ. Now JJ's guarding her. And JJ is just another like unicorn, like huge and so skilled. And you just like, well, that's pretty incomparable to most things that I've seen. But yeah, I will, a little bit of a nerdy thing. Minnesota's so good at whoever is guarding her, kind of adjusting their offense around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when JJ's guarding her, and we saw it in the first game in Minnesota this season, it's like, all right, flare screens, twirls on the perimeter. Like we're making JJ run through screens on the perimeter. And we're organizing our offense around that in a very natural way because Fee can do it. And then if Stewie's guarding her, it's more like not traditional big stuff, but a little more like roll, seal, like cut, dunker spot, flash to the elbow, where you don't really do that against JJ. You want to get her in space. And Fee and Cheryl are such a perfect match in that way, where Fee's so malleable and can operate from all these different spots, and Cheryl and the rest of the team know how to like transition between those things smoothly. And so they do a good job of that. Whereas like when the Liberty kind of figured out the aces, it was like, well, we can put JJ on her and kind of live not fully one-on-one, but she's big and like Asia's not really stretching you out to 3, and you kind of really just have to guard her in the paint. And JJ's so big and long that like she can do it. And Fee, you don't really have that. You can't just be like, all right, here you go. Like, you got it, JJ. Like, they'll kill you.
Yeah. It's honestly, and this is one of the like weird things about the Lynx that I haven't really heard a ton of other teams do, but like, so they have Eric T-Bolt, who is an assistant here, coached Washington the last couple of years. Waylon is an assistant here, coached at the U of M, and we all know Way. And then Rebecca Brunson's kind of the third like head of their assistant coach tree. And Cheryl like assigns them game plans and scouts. So like they're coming into this New York back to back. And my guess is I don't know who the scout is. I haven't asked yet, but like, let's say Way's doing the scout for New York. She's developing the game plan offensively and defensively, doing the scout, working with Cheryl on the Liberty matchup. And then the other two assistants are planning for game plans next week and the week after to like already be ahead of it. So like every game they come into is like already specifically tailored to whoever they're going to play. And I think just the coaching talent they have is kind of wild. I mean, not to say that the Liberty don't have good coaches. Like Sandy is awesome. They have a really good like coaching tree behind her as well. But the Lynx just they just have it kind of figured out down to a science, which makes sense. They've had resources and time to figure this out to a science.
Yeah. And I would say that I love talking to Sandy's great. She's kind of like, she's a little opposite of Cheryl, like just, always perky and like always happy to talk and just Australian, like this, this very vibrant energy.
Yeah.
And even if you ask a dumb question, like she'll give you something good because she just is empathetic. She just likes to talk. But the Lynx have an edge in the coaching department, I think, like over a 7-game series. I think it'd be tough to find someone who disagrees with that. That's why I was like shocked Sandy in game 5 of the finals last year went triple big and played like Niara at the 3 and it worked. And I gave her so much credit for that. But over a 7-game series, it's like, you probably trust Cheryl and her team to like make the better adjustments and game plans, I think.
I am going to panic, throw us over to an ad read because I haven't done any of those yet today. And then if anyone, I mean, we got 13 people in here on YouTube. You guys are wild for Thursday afternoon WNBA talk. If anyone has questions in the chat, anyone wants to throw something Lucas's way, feel free to. And when we come back from the break, we will answer some. And if no one throws anything out there, Lucas, we're just going on with our days.
Fair enough.
Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Lynx podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. Awesome. And I am going to do one more read here quick. Lucas, you like free stuff, right?
I love free stuff.
Who doesn't love free stuff? The wonderful people over at Nate Pence Realty are giving away a pair of really good Lynx seats for an upcoming game. And all you have to do if you are a listener of this lovely podcast is call Nate Pence. The number will be in the description of this podcast on Spotify and Apple. He's also a presenting sponsor. You can find it on our website. If you set up a visit with Nate Pence or anyone on his team to discuss buying, selling, moving, apartment rentals, what have you, you will get entered into a drawing for those free tickets as long as you mention the Hitting the Hardwood Network or one of our three podcasts, the Missing Lynx, Lynx Happy Hour, or Hitting the Hardwood. That's all you have to do. I don't know how many people are going to actually go through with it, schedule that visit, but it's not like a timeshare. Nate Pence sits courtside at all the Lynx games, right in front of me if he tries to brass any of you guys into actually selling your home when you don't want to. Let me know and I'll throw something at him. But he just wants to kind of build some new contacts, build some new relationships, and also reward some of the awesome Lynx fans with some really good tickets to a game. So that is Nate Pence at Pence Homes. All right, Lucas, I don't see any questions in the chat here. Anything you want to touch on before you get out of here and we anxiously await 48 hours before there's another Lynx game?
Not a ton. I really hope there's another series in the playoffs so I can come to Minnesota. Honestly, I will further try to endear myself to Lynx fans so they don't think I'm a biased homer of a reporter. I loved Minneapolis. It was my first time. I went out there last year for the finals for 2-3 nights and it was great. So I hope I get to do it again. And the matchup is great. And these teams are really just a wonderful blend and a wonderful answer to this kind of budding Liberty Aces rivalry that seemed like it was kind of going to define the next few years of the WNBA. And after the first finals, and they meet in the semis, and the league was pushing it, and rightfully so. And this as kind of the immediate sequel to that, at least from a Liberty perspective. When you think about this era, that's, Aces first villain. The Lynx have now become the second villain. It's so different. And it's really appealing to a basketball nerd like me because of the way these two teams play. And I really hope we get the playoff series for many reasons. I want to go back, but also full strength. This is just some of the best basketball you could ever hope for. And hopefully there's not one day between finals games this year so they don't die of exhaustion.
I also hope no one dies of exhaustion. Lan, especially, because I don't know how she covers Jones for 30 something minutes, but she does. Minneapolis, really underrated city. I feel like it doesn't get a lot of flowers. So I appreciate that. I'm sure all the Lynx fans in the chat and this too. I also am hoping that we get this matchup in the finals. 7 games of watching Sandy and Cheryl try and figure things out with the amount of talent is going to be, it's going to be must watch. I know if you're a WNBA fan and you're kind of a diehard, that's what you're rooting for. There's probably a lot of people out there rooting for Seattle to get in or for Indiana to get in just for kind of storyline purposes. But Lynx and Liberty, for my money, is just going to be the best basketball. Probably. I'll be honest, last year's WNBA finals, I thought was better than this year's NBA finals. So might be the best basketball we get for another year.
Yeah, it could be. And it's crazy because we might get it in the semis. The Liberty are in third and only a game up on fourth and fifth. And we'll see. I really hope that doesn't happen. I really hope
Lynx fans, I think, are now rooting for the Liberty just because You know, I think they would rather face them in the finals than earlier in the playoffs.
Yeah, and when they'll be a little fresher too.
Also, like, Minnesotans are kind of like gluttons for punishment. I mean, we live in a very harsh climate. It's not like fun to live in negative 30-degree weather. But I just feel like if Cheryl's going to win a ring and start a second dynasty, winning it over the team that, you know, she said robbed them would be pretty storyline perfect.
Oh yeah. It's all the storylines are built in. It'll just
exactly.
Yeah. And I think maybe I loved Minneapolis because I went in the beginning of October and it was like so perfectly fall.
Yep.
And not 2 months later.
Yep. Nope. Beginning of October. April's usually pretty good too. Everything else is either really hot and humid or really cold. I lived here my whole life and I still hate it. So, you know. All right, Lucas, I appreciate you, man. This pod, for anyone that jumped in late, will be posted up tomorrow morning, the 15th at 7 a.m. Good drive time if you're stuck in traffic. And Lucas, we'll do this again in the playoffs. I'm sure we'll meet each other at some point.
Rooting hard for it. Thanks, man.